Thank you for tuning in to Divine Times. This is Hilton Milan, and I have my special guest, Steve Richmond, and Steve Magnus, guardian angel and transformational coach. Your company is Your Unlimited Success.
True.
What does someone need to do to just have that happen? You had a basic frame of sentence, please.
So the tagline, if you will, is when you're willing to sacrifice all your personal barriers in pursuit of your purpose,
Yes.
you have no other option than to achieve unlimited success. Is it easy? It can be. Most people make it difficult.
You said when one is willing to dissolve all their personal barriers, sacrifice.
Our barriers are our comfort zones, our addiction to Facebook, social media, all the things that we do to distract ourselves from what we really know we need to be doing.
There comes a time with many people where they're just not sure what to do, and they're just in their comfort zones, as you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So next steps, someone has to want to achieve and to transform, don't they?
Yes. Everything in your consciousness is trying to keep you safe and comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to jump out of an airplane, every fiber of your being is going, do not do that, because it's taking a risk, and your subconscious is just pulling you back, going no. So when you are safe in a 9-to-5 job and you're thinking of starting a company, your monkeys in your head, if you will always chatter away that no, you should just stay where you are and go for the pension and not really get out there and stretch yourself. And when you do start stretching yourself, you're always going to have something that's trying to pull you back into that comfort zone of, should I go after this huge client? What if I get this huge client? If they place a huge order, my company's gonna fail because I can't keep up, those kind of things. But your comfort zone, when you stretch it, you experience a much more fulfilled life, though.
Yes.
When you travel to Europe, you're literally stretching your comfort zone, maybe just a little, but you're still stretching it. And you're experiencing a different aspect of life that you've never had before.
So for all of us that commit to and have taken holidays,
Mm-hmm.
For those 3 days or, a week or 3 weeks or 3 months, whatever that time is, and as we do that regularly, we understand that adventure and a bit of that transformation.
Right.
What about personal transformation in day-to-day life and year-to-year life? And what's the difference of transformation for someone in their, 20s compared to someone in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and is transformation even possible in 60s and 70s and 80s?
Transformation is possible right up until you're almost on your deathbed. It's what you're willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
When we're teenagers, part of a parent's job and part of what's wrong in society today is the disciplines aren't being taught. So instant gratification is becoming the norm. Whereas as you age, you realize that the disciplines you put in place to stay physically fit, to eat properly, that will make you more energetic and more productive every day. Every little thing you do along those lines is a discipline that you have to put in place. Mm-hmm. Your comfort zone will suck you back into a place of let's order McDonald's and let's not exercise and let's watch TV. If you were in a position you don't need the money, for example. Most of us have to go out and find a job and do the daily work thing. And even there, we look at 3 hours of TV a night. Well, you're not going to get successful if you're watching 3 hours of TV every evening and just doing the bare minimum to make your living. And that's the problem. 80% of people are quite content to just do that. It's only about 20% of the population that wants to get ahead, to improve themselves, be better physically fit, be more productive in life and maybe start their own business.
More profitable.
Yeah. Yeah, being an entrepreneur is a huge stretch.
Yes. Being self-employed, and creating employment for others.
Yeah, you're walking out there with no safety net. You go down, everything comes down with you.
So for many people, and I know many that have had their own businesses, and some are even homeless now, or barely getting by, and there can be an apathy or a status quo. What can be most useful there to make a difference?
Well, what happens with a lot of business owners is they have barriers that are bred into them, that money doesn't grow on trees, or everybody who's rich is crooked. All those type things play in the back of your mind. So you could be busting your hump every day to build a successful business and not understanding that your own barrier is it's wrong to be wealthy. So you're never going to achieve success, because that is always going to find a way to sabotage what you're doing. So in this day and age especially, of transformational work and coaching is a great way to go, because you're in the forest and you're not seeing all the trees, whereas somebody with a mentor or a mastermind group will help, that they're looking at things from different eyes, and they can see that you keep walking into a wall over here and you don't even notice that you're doing it. In the meantime, there's a doorway 2.5 feet away that you could have walked through.
So, Steve, how do you help people recognize this?
A lot of what I do is I was kind of given this intuitive gift that I discovered through the help of some friends in my mid-40s, I guess, that I just kind of pick up on what's going on with them, and my gut just starts churning when they're telling me stories, and I'll let them talk, but all of a sudden it'll just, something hits me, and it's like, but wait a minute, there's a belief under here that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and I haven't always been the greatest listener. You can ask my former wife. I didn't listen too well for the first 30 years of my life.
Yeah, but you did
40
it well.
to be exact.
But you did it well.
Exactly.
Yeah, you were a great non-listener.
But you learned something.
Yeah, and my ego was in the way and all that other stuff, but I've learned to really absorb and listen to what people, not just the words, but what they're actually, saying with their emotions and everything at the same time.
They're deeper meaning, something like like you could be a mirror for them and sense what's going on with them and get yourself out of the way.
Exactly.
Is that the intuitive aspect?
Yeah, and I've done a lot of self-development work for the last 24 years. That's where Milan and I actually met, is through the men's work that I've been doing, and it's given me a lot of tools to be able to help men especially with what they need to be doing, because there's no real book out there for what men need to do in their relationships. And quite often we can be walking all over a woman's feelings and not even realizing we're doing it.
Not at all.
Yeah. So all combined, and just the experience of 64 years on this planet have got me where I am today, which is quite happy, actually.
Yeah, that's a good thing. So how would you help me, for instance, if I needed to change something?
Well, for example, I would sit down, have a brief conversation, and find out, what's going on in your life, what's up. Is there some specific thing you're looking to change? Because you may have a direction that you want to go in, but you have a blockage that's not evident to you. So if we can get that out of the way, like you want to do these things, but you procrastinate on getting up at the same time every morning, or you refuse to develop the disciplines that's needed to, if you need to make 25 calls as a salesman every day and you find yourself only doing 4 a day, it's going to take you a long time to get successful. So what's preventing you from making those other 21 calls? There's something inside you that makes that phone weigh 50 pounds.
That's very interesting you say that, because as you talk to me, I can feel a place in my gut, and that's a block that says I'm going to be kicked in the gut if I do this. So it's like a belief that's going on, but it's going on way far in the background. And when you talk, I bring it forward. I go, okay. And then I recognize that I'm blocked. And then I can kind of let the energy flow. And then now I can visualize myself
Right.
making those calls. So it's like I'm doing two things at once. I'm recognizing how I'm blocked, and I'm visualizing what needs to be done. And it's like it's telling what's happening within me just
Right.
by you talking to me. And so now there's a conversation between here and here, and there's a resolution going on within me just because of my contact with you right now. That's very
Excellent.
interesting stuff. Very subtle though. Like, can you,
And it's good that that's happening, because a lot of times what happens is that conversation between the two is very brief, and then the monkeys that are up in here telling you can't do it
start up
just
again.
start screaming even louder.
Yeah.
And you may go from making 5 calls a day to 3 calls a day, but at least you're doing the work that's showing up, and you're more aware that something major is stopping you from breaking through that barrier.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if I went to make 10 calls a day, that's going in the right direction, becoming more unblocked,
Yeah.
till eventually to the
Yeah.
50. And if I do this, if I have that insight plus action in the world, does this generalize to other blocks that I have?
It may. It's that old thing. I think every one of us goes around telling the world we were raised in dysfunctional families.
Yes.
So we all have these little beliefs that, it may just be like tripping on the sidewalk, or it could be like falling down a 6-foot hole, depending on what you were raised with and what those barriers look like.
Yes.
So it's kind of an individual basis, but yeah, we all have some similar stuff on, are we worthy of it? Are we
Oh, yeah, basic.
deserving of success?
Yeah, there's basic stuff all humans go through.
Yeah. And a lot of times people, if they haven't been doing this kind of work, which, it's obvious that you have been doing some of that kind of work, but the average man on the street may that's woohoo stuff.
Yeah.
My parents told me to stay away from that. So they do, and in the meantime, though, they're not realizing that they're going home every night, and instead of drafting up their sales pitch for the next day's meeting, they're sitting playing some online game for 2.5 hours.
They're escaping from the situation rather than addressing it.
And then again, there's A-type people that are out there. They're so busy focused on where they're going to take their business and how they're going to make money and everything else, and their wife is sitting over in the corner going, "I'm here too."
Yeah, that's an interesting point of view. That's fascinating, because from my perspective, if you unblock yourself, your business does better, your relationship does better, because the flow of energy is there to accomplish your goals.
Right. Yeah, and as men, we're notoriously one-minded. So we're focused on the business, and the wife and kids are over here in the weeds going, what the hell? That's part of what I coach is harmony in relationships and success, not wealth, not business success only, but success in all areas of your life. So you're looking after your health, your family, or if you're single, what's preventing you from having a healthy, happy relationship?
Yeah.
All those things make us successful, not just the money or the fame and fortune.
Yes, and I've noticed the people that I know that have been very successful, they're invested in the love for what they're doing, and the money comes as a secondary thing. And if they said if they didn't pay me money, I would still do it.
Yeah.
So I think that there's becoming unblocked is learning to invest your work with your love.
Yeah.
I was watching cartoons with my grandchildren today, and this couple, king and queen from another planet, were coming to Earth to get their son who ran away. And he was going the wrong direction. He says, "Don't tell me I'm going the wrong direction." She says, "You've already run to 2 or 3 planets." And he says, "I know what I'm doing." And I laugh my head off because my wife tells me that when we're driving. I say, "I'm going, what are you talking about?" She says, "You're going in the wrong," "Yeah, what do you mean? I don't go in the wrong direction."
I know that's north.
Exactly. So those were my blocks, and I was watching them on TV in a cartoon situation.
Yeah.
So I brought it up right now, like this stuff is prevalent. And sometimes the idea, they talk to you, and then maybe they'll see things in their environment that are actually giving them feedback.
Yeah.
Like, this is you. But I don't think you will recognize the feedback unless you have some degree of being unblocked.
Yeah.
And once you unblock, the world comes to your door.
Well, and we're so conditioned, and it's a good thing. I mean, our ego is necessary to be successful in business, and our ego is necessary to meet women. But once you get into a long-term committed relationship, you don't want your ego there. Because, yes, you needed your ego at work 9 to 5, but you need to find a way to just park that puppy when you get home.
Park that puppy, yeah.
And listen and be in connection with your partner, whoever that is. And
Yeah.
And what if their ego is engaged? And
you can't have an argument if only one person is arguing. So it takes their engaging of ego, then your engaging of ego, and there the combat begins.
So then the self-management or mastery or governance and discipline,
Those are really big words. What did you mean by that?
being conscious of not engaging in making someone else wrong if you're in a relationship.
Yeah, I would love to think that there is self-mastery. Most of us just need to develop a discipline rather than a mastery and pay attention to it. There's always going to be, you're fighting a head cold, you've been working 12 hours, and you might get a little snippy with your lady or your partner. But the key there is to be big enough to recognize it and go, sorry, I screwed up. I apologize, I shouldn't have got upset with that. Because they're just being them. You don't know what's going on for them that day. 9 times out of 10 when people are arguing, they haven't taken the time to actually find out, how's your day been and how's your day been? It's just, hi, come home, got to feed the kids, got to do this, we got to get them to soccer practice, and all of a sudden there's a bitch fest going on and nobody knows why. And you're right, and you're right,
And
nobody's happy.
And beyond this duality of right, wrong, or right, wrong, and like, how do we actually find oneness and workable oneness,
Well,
productive?
The
oneness?
problem I find, and with the work I've been doing for the 24 years, which, this is men's weekend and women's weekend technology,
Yes.
that it takes very good listening. You have to really not just hear another person, but actually listen with your heart, if you will, to what they're saying and how they're feeling. And most times, we, especially as men, don't do that. We either want to fix a woman's problem, or we just want to get on with stuff, and it's like, yeah, whatever, and rush them. And if people feel listened to and heard, 9 times out of 10 they can solve their own problems.
Yes.
And the arguments go away. Like, I've had a shitty day, the dishwasher broke down, this has happened, that happened. Just man or woman, if they get a chance to vent that, but especially women, if you allow her to vent all that stuff and just get it out, your evening's going to be a lot smoother. But if you're shutting her down or going, okay, fine, I'll fix it, whatever, and not allowing them to feel heard, and this works with women to men too, if you're just, well, my problem's more important, or my issues are more important than what you're talking about. And too often people listen to answer as opposed to listen.
So there's a level of non-resistance that
Yeah.
you develop when you become unblocked. Put your arm up like this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now open your hand. Okay, and open it flat like this.
Yep.
Okay, now push against me.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you're doing
Yeah.
as a physical metaphor, so that you're not resisting people,
Yeah.
but where this could lead
Oh, yeah.
to a lot of negativity, whereas this allows
Do
them
that
to be
again.
what they are.
You feel the energy we're sucking out of each other doing that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's,
It's-
yeah, and
yeah.
feel this, when you go like this,
So I'm
there's
gonna wait.
space. Yeah, that type of thing. And it goes on unconsciously.
Oh,
If you can step behind it and actually institute the feeling and the idea of I'm going to be non-resistant by setting up that idea, that postulate, and then you start using it a bit, you become unblocked.
Well, and the thing too is when you're getting the positive energy from a partner, I'm getting into relationship stuff here, which is
Perfect.
kind of my forte, and it works in business relationships too. You know, if you're getting positive feedback into each other, you're going to feel inside a little bit better than you know you truly are. Whereas if you're in constant, you know, conflict around things, it's going to drain you over time.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
you've said about that one feels a little bit better than we know we actually are. Is that a goal, or is that
That's a reward. I happen to be so fortunate to be in a relationship. Susan is the most incredible woman I've ever had the privilege of knowing in my life. And I feel 3 feet off the ground as she leaves in the morning because she just lifts me up, literally. You know,
and it's not effort, it's just by her listening
Yeah.
of you and her speaking
Her-
with you, her relating with you, or like, what is
her
that?
understanding of who I am as a man, her acceptance of who I am as a man. You know, there's no trying to change me. She encourages me to do better and more at what I tend to underestimate myself to be good at.
Does she have a sister?
No, she's got 4 brothers.
That's right.
That would be an alternative, but perhaps not for everyone.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly. No, and it's funny because we actually worked together 30 odd years ago, and there was something there. Never acted upon because I was married at the time, but there was a energy in there, and
Yeah.
since she's moved from Alberta to be with me, it's like this. It's like it's all new, but we've been doing it for 50 years together. It's
Like
yeah.
a harmonic conversion.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
That's good to
Enough
hear.
about me.
So, as your personal life is, it seems like it has a bit of divinity in it, but you've both worked into it
Yeah.
by, not just listening to yourselves.
Yes. Oh, believe me, I asked my first wife. Kathy will tell you, I screwed up a whole lot in our marriage. I screwed up a whole lot in my second relationship, and that's part of why I know what works in relationships, because I've screwed up many a time in the past. Yeah.
And so what's most critical then for realizing, I use the word divine times because if we connect to something beyond just ourselves, to listening, to connecting with the world, but even something higher than that. I think we've spoken of it as a higher purpose, or our
Yeah.
purpose.
Well, a lot of it, the biggest thing that, makes you a sports celebrity, makes you a superstar, is your ego. But your ego is also what gets in your way the most. The negative ego of I'm not good enough and all that is one thing, but knowing where to use your ego for your benefit and knowing when to shut it off and just be, and it's, especially with the social media and stuff that's going on today, it's harder to do because as a celebrity, 15 years ago, Peyton Manning could finish a football game and go home. Now it's on Instagram. It's this, it's that, it's every, and you're on almost 24/7.
Yes.
And that's going to make everything about life harder, which is why I think communication these days is suffering so badly, because we're in this generation of mass communication, but nobody talks.
Yeah.
You'll see people in restaurants, a couple sitting in a restaurant, and they're both looking at their phones the entire meal. It's like, where's the connection between those two souls? It's
Yes.
not there.
In the connections, we first met probably over 20 years ago, and doing some work in the men's movement, men's weekend, and I'm just understanding now that as a men's weekend for men is, and a women's weekend, which I feel like none of us have ever been on, but for women, amongst other women, and sort of a sisterhood, finding a success and a rites of passage for women. I don't know what that is, but I know for men has been instrumental in helping to shift me from the ego-driven man.
Yeah.
I had and everything was my vision of the future. Very little of the past, very little of the present. And even though I achieved successes and so on and so forth, I've also had my own failures and crashes. And I'm beginning again. And some of the coaching calls you've had with me have helped me see what I was truly blind to. What are your best 3 tenets of challenging someone or inviting someone to engage in some coaching and transformational coaching? Your successful life.
Well, I think,
Or your unlimited success.
yeah, I've never really been asked it that way, but if you're trying to build a business and you keep not getting to where you want to go, take a look at what disciplines do you have in place. Are you honestly using those disciplines, or, as we like to say, are you bullshitting yourself that I'm making 30 calls a week? Well, yeah, 30 calls to voicemail may not be the best way to grow your business. How committed are you to your own success, and what are the little things that are tripping you up? Because there may be more to it. And in this day and age, there's so much help out there in emotional coaching, lifestyle coaching, etc. Look around, see what you think you need. And if you're not feeling like you're getting what you need from a coach, find another coach. I know some men have business coaches, they have personal coaches, they have fitness coaches. It's all going to make you more successful. No team has ever won the Super Bowl without coaching.
Yeah.
You just don't become a champion on your own.
And it's both individual coaching and group coaching.
Yes. Yes, there's group coaching. I do business relationship coaching as well as couples coaching. And I actually have a few women clients now too. So they came to me and...
How does someone reach you, Steve?
Well, my website is actually supposed to be going live next week.
Yes.
A gentleman that we both know was supposed to have all that ready. My email is steve@steverichmond.ca, and my phone number is 416-206-6568. The programs are 6 months long. I do a half an hour to 45-minute consultation.
Yes.
See what's up, where we can go, how we can do it. And, if we're open after that, away we go.
Well, on the away we go. Before we do that, I want to thank you so very much, Stephen and Steve Magnus. Your
Anytime.
unlimited success, transformational coaching. And in my experience, and I've had some experience with you in this, it's always been really a divine surprise. And when I say the surprise, I haven't liked some of what I've heard, and as I've adjusted, I haven't liked a lot of it. It's like, oh my God, I didn't see that.
Yes.
So you even said to me that as I've been, experiencing loss of sight, going blind, and I hated it and was avoiding it and denying it.
Yeah.
And now I'm beginning, you said to me, there's a purpose. There's a higher purpose to me losing my sight.
Yep.
And I'm experiencing that, yes, it's actually forcing me, teaching me, challenging me to see strength and truth and within, and to build it and to share it and to transform.
And how could you continue Donish's work if you had all full sight?
Yes. So and kudos. I admired Donish. He's a beautiful man, 39, and he passed suddenly last year. The end of last year, he was the founder of the Party for People with Special Needs, ppsn.on.ca, and now I've been asked to step into his giant shoes, as the blind visionary and leader of the party. And I didn't want to, but I'm compelled to because I have to. It's the right thing to do. It's a huge challenge, and it's an even huger opportunity.
Well, and I had been supporting men, talking to them all the time for 15 to 20 years. And I remember always wondering, Wayne Dyer used to say that when he wrote a book, it came through him, not from him. And the very first client I coached, I got off the phone and I completely understood, because I could not tell you what I told that client. But it was very profound, and it was like, oh my God, this is really my gift. And it was quite humbling.
I thank you for your strong humility, and sometimes the humbling is challenging. I've certainly heard things that have made me gulp, stop, and really transform, because it's sort of like, oh.
Right.
And I am wanting to encourage everyone to find, if you're wanting to have change in your life, find a coach, find someone to work with that will give you direct feedback and also insight. There's nothing like it. Help you find your.
I have a client outside of Boston who figures if he doesn't give me 3 FUs a session, he hasn't got his money.
Well, it's an amazing journey, and I just thank you for sharing it with me and with all of us. And Steve, your final thoughts?
I have none. He's cleared my mind. My blocks are gone. I'm in a
Something better than
state
that.
of euphoria. I'm going to pay him after the show. I never felt like this.
Excellent.
10 years.
All right. Again,
I thank you kindly, sir.
Stephen, may your divine shine.
Pleasure to meet you, sir.
And Steve, and to all of you for tuning in. Truly tune in to your divine times and opportunities. We'll see you in the light. Hilton Milan.
I recognize that face.
Very good.